What's up guys, name's Ray and welcome to another 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross video. So we have the official confirmation for LOSTVAYNE MELIODAS coming out tomorrow, and literally every YouTube video that is Grand Cross related is about LOSTVAYNE MELIODAS right now. So I'm just joining the club and we're going over different team compositions that you can use. So the team compositions are just built by myself and they are the ratings, so you can see the ratings, the teams and the strengths, so they are very subjective sometimes. So if you disagree, don't be too harsh on it. Yeah, I just want to give you an idea of how you could use them. There are like a lot more comps that could be tested because I didn't test all of those comps myself, but it is very theoretically, I guess. So yeah, let's just hop in. We have team number one. This is the most commonly known one. It is the standard Ult Rush combination. It will be the team that you will see the most for the next few weeks. Yeah, I would rate it with a 10 out of 10. And in my personal opinion, I would say this is the best team in the game. It is basically LOSTVAYNE plus the Holy Trinity, if you could say so. It has a very high AoE DPS. You have the rank up from Gotha, which will make LOSTVAYNE very consistent. Also King, very consistent. You have Cleanse and you have Petrify. In general, I am one of the persons that think that LOSTVAYNE doesn't really need Gotha because of his passive. But Gotha is a unit that makes any team consistent, and I'm the person that really likes a consistent playstyle. So you want to have cards that you can use actually. So next team I would go is a alternative version to that. I named it Standard Ult Rush 2. It is a team that I saw a lot on the Japanese version, where when LOSTVAYNE dropped, I did play a lot of PvP, and this was a team composition, to my surprise, that was used quite a lot. They didn't use the Blue King, but personally I was a bit shocked of this because I do think that Blue King brings a very good consistency overall in the team, but you don't want to have dead cards because I do think the combination of Blue King and Red Gopher sometimes brings you a dead combination that you cannot use. So if you, for example, have like only the attack cards from Gopher and um, just a level 1 Petrify, so these are really dead cards. But in contrast, we have the Green Merlin. She has really good cards, so you never can have dead cards from Green Merlin, because you can always use the shield and you can always use the ultimate removal even on level 1. And King, you will need to have level 2 cards to be used. Same with Ghost though. Yeah, so I would rate this a 9 out of 10 because I do think the flaw is that you miss out on that cleanse and you miss out on that petrify. But overall, this team is very nice. Also, it is a bit tankier than the other one because in the substat you use the Red King, and penetration teams aren't that by now just because of LOSTVAYNE, especially because they use two blue units. So I think it is a team that is a very good alternative if you don't want to use LOSTVAYNE. But to be honest, I think LOSTVAYNE is way too strong to be not used. Next team is a freeze control team with the Red Merlin. I think Red Merlin is a unit that um, isn't considered as a pocket pick anymore because she is known to be a very strong unit right now. She has a recovery, disable, and a freeze. And I do really like this kind of control team, so I put King on here because I think he is a alternative pick for that. So depending on if you want to use Gopher or Green Guild Founder in the sub, so you can choose between Blue King and Red King. If you ask me personally, I would go for the Blue King in the main team and the Green Guild Founder on the sub slot because I do like to have Petrify and Freeze on the team and be able to cleanse. Also, the variety of colors is a big advantage here because this is basically a mono red team if you don't use the Blue King. Yeah, but to be honest, it is. I think it is more consistent if you use Gopher, but I still would stick to my answer with the Blue King. I would rate this overall with the 8 out of 10. Next team build is a penetration build. So we just replaced the Blue Demon Meliodas with the Lost Vein, and we have the same pen team that was used over the last weeks. So I would suggest this because I think the majority of the players have a built-out penetration team. So um, this won't cost you a lot if you already used pen over the last month or last 2 months, because you just have to build your Lost Vein, which you will do anyway, and then you can choose between any of these characters. So I would recommend the Red Escanor if you have a stronger one than your green one, but I know that the most players will have a strong green Escanor with a higher ultimate level. And Merlin, I would recommend if you go for like a hybrid build, so penetration ultimate. But honestly, I think penetration teams doesn't really rely on the ultimate. So of course they are still a strong element. So don't get me wrong on that. But the big strength of penetration teams are their very high DPS that they use with their single target cards or their AoE cards. So you want to really quick or one shot one of their units. And King is a very good option if you're not able to go first. Another big plus of this team is because you use Escanor and Lost Vein, you will have a really high combat class because these two units are the units with the highest combat class in the game. So, yeah, that's it for the penetration team. Next team is a bit of a different way. It is not as meta as the other ones. It is the Old Rush alternative. And I picked the Blue Diane for this because, of course, because of Lost Wayne, I thought of a couple of ways how you could counter him. And to be honest, I don't think that there is a real counter by now. So we will have to wait until Green Eastern is coming to the game and maybe the new Fairy exclusive king. But this team has is a bit of a risky one, so it could be very fun. I definitely will try this team out, and you could rush any of the ults from Meliodas, King, or the Ant, and you will one-shot the enemy team. Of course, this takes a high ultimate level on the Ant, because King you will already have a high ultimate level, and Lost Wayne will do enough damage even with a ultimate 1 out of 6. So if you're interested in that, I did use him a lot on the JP version, so I used him a lot with a ultimate level 1 out of 6, 3 out of 6, and 6 out of 6. And yeah, 6 out of 6 is a guaranteed one shot on every unit in the game, and 1 out of 6 is not a guaranteed one shot, but it most likely one shots every unit. So still at 160 is insane. But Diane will need her for at least 4-6 if you want to have the potential to one shot. But if you're able to rush any ult of one out of those three guys here, I think you can win the game real quick. Yeah, then Merlin is of course the unit to use if it is a ult rush team. Then the next point on this is you have a cleanse and petrification. So I do think that King is a very relevant unit for now because he wasn't that relevant in the last month. but he is back on the top. So next team is a team that I also didn't test out yet, but I will definitely do this on global. It is like LOSTVAYNE featuring Mikasa. Mikasa is in general a really good unit if you have built her out, but the overall problem on her is that she was focused on the first turn by a green Escanor, so she got one-shotted real quick. But because of LOSTVAYNE, I do think that green Escanor is his usage will fall down a bit. So Green Mikasa won't get one-shotted in the first turn, so she will at least survive one turn. And if you can manage to survive with her 2 turns, she will be pretty strong. So then there are 2 options for the sub. So if you go for Green Merlin, it is a bit more of a risky pick. So you have to win the combat class battle at the beginning, but you can rush her ult faster and you can rush Meliodas ult faster. And alternatively, I would go for the Red King, which I would personally prefer. But this is something that you should test out. Yeah, you don't want to lose your Mikasa too soon because then you're in a bad position because King will come into the third position and he doesn't do really anything on the field. The big advantage on this is Mikasa has like a taunt because everybody knows that she will get focused in the first turn. So yeah, that's it for the LV Mikasa team. This was also the last team, so we are going over honorable mentions, so honorable units that I didn't include in my builds, but I want to mention them real quick for now. So maybe you have some ideas to build out a new team, a more innovative team, and hope I could help you with that. So let's just go over the Red Author. Red Author has a recovery disable, which is a really good ability, like the Red Merlin one. But what I think is really interesting is his buff. So if we can use his buff with LOSTVAYNE, how much damage would he do then? But I couldn't think of a real way to utilize him because then it would be like mono red if you use Arthur Go for LOSTVAYNE. So on that, I still think that Escanor is better than LOSTVAYNE in the mono red because of his amplify damage, and LOSTVAYNE hasn't amplify. So I couldn't think of a third unit if you would use Arthur alongside with the LOSTVAYNE. Another build that I could think of is a crit damage one with Blue Arthur and the Green Death Pierce. Death Pierce is reducing the crit resistance and crit defense of the enemy. And Arthur's damage is also based on crit damage. So another unit on this would be Levi. But Levi is also a red unit, so I didn't put him on here. So this is a team that you could test out Gotha, Blue Arthur, LOSTVAYNE, and Death Pierce. I think this could be really fun. Problem on that is, of course, that you have to build out these 2 units that you normally wouldn't do. Next thing is Red Melascula, which is the Goddess Elizabeth before Goddess Elizabeth. Um, Unfortunately, I don't have her, so I can't say too much about this unit, but I think it could be an interesting way to utilize the passive along with LOSTVAYNE. Next thing is Red Arrieri. Her burner will leave tomorrow, so she is the highest single target DPS unit in the game. I didn't thought too much of it, but I could think of a way that she will work with her. So because she has so much high DPS damage, and with LOSTVAYNE, she can one shot like any unit after this. So let's say you AOE with her with LOSTVAYNE, and then you just buffer and single target attack. So of course in theory it seems pretty easy, but I did saw a couple of gameplay with the combination, and I also didn't think that it worked out too well, but I was really surprised on how it turned out. Another suggestion that we could do with Dareri is to put her on the sub slot, and then she will come out. And if you only have like 2 units left, Dareri, you're most likely to draw more Dareri cards, and this is like what you want because you want to stack a passive, and if you're able to stack a passive, she's like unbeatable. So next thing is a unit that isn't out on global yet, but will come out eventually next week or maybe in 2 weeks. I don't know by now, but I did include it in the list because it is a unit to expect soon. And she is a blue unit, but she isn't a blue DPS unit. So yeah, she's a alternative unit to the blue king. So I think she will work pretty fine with LOSTVAYNE. But this is something that we all have to try out because it is way different that she drops later on, because she was released on the Japanese version. She was released before LOSTVAYNE, and now she will be released later on, and we do not exactly know when. But I think I am expecting her next week. Yeah, I think that's it for today's video. Tomorrow I will do a summon video for LOSTVAYNE. And yeah, that's it. See you guys next time.